glad you got to hear from Miss Wendy there just a couple minutes ago. We are so excited. I am so glad and happy to be a part of this. You know, me and Miss Wendy have been a part of camps for probably 12 or 13 years. I even broke out a camp shirt because I wanted to feel like I was at camp. But we wanted to jump in today to science. You know, sometimes we separate science from our faith, and which is okay sometimes, but there are some really cool lessons out there that shows us and teaches us about God. And it's amazing when we start to see how God can work and how we can put these things together to really see how much God really loves and cares for us. And so through these simple little science lessons from things you can bring from your own house that are very super cheap, probably most of you have them at your house, we can learn lessons from God about our lives. And so that's what today is all about. Me and Miss Wendy just wanted to come to you to put together some very simple experiments that you can do at your own house just to be a part of a summer camp. I don't know where you're from or what cities you're from or what state you're even from, but man, we can love God from a distance together, and that's what we want to do for you. So I'm going to let Miss Wendy, since we're running a few seconds behind here because of me and my getting back online with some technical difficulties, I'm going to let Miss Wendy take over on this first experiment and show you and teach you something cool about God. Here's Miss Wendy.
Hi, everybody. So for our first experiment, these are the supplies that you're going to need for this one. We are actually going to be making a battery. We're going to make a wet battery. I'm going to talk to you about the science behind batteries. But you're going to need a ruler, scissors, a pencil, a little bowl or cup with some sugar in it, and then you're going to need 10 pennies, and 10 nickels or 10 dimes. We need a copper coin and a zinc coin. So those, you can go get your coins. I got my coins right here so that you guys can see my supplies. So the first thing I need to talk to you about while you're gathering your supplies is I'm going to talk to you about electricity. So we're going to talk about electricity and creating a battery that's actually going to zap us when we're done. Super fun, right? So electricity is created in different types of batteries. The kind we're going to make today is a wet cell battery. So that's where the vinegar comes in. That's the kind of battery that cars use. So it's a combination of two metals. So our metals are the zinc, which I have my nickel here, and I have my copper pennies. The cleaner your coins are, the better it will zap you. And so you need those. And then we also use a liquid, which is the acid part of the battery, and that's going to be our vinegar. I got my giant jug of vinegar here, and I poured it in this cup. And so it makes a chemical reaction that's going to produce an electrical current. And like I said, when we're done with this, we're going to get it back. Yay! All right, so what I need you to do first is, if you want to just draw the lines without a ruler, or if you're a perfectionist like me, let me see if you can see that, you can make those. We need 19 squares of paper, and they need to be about an inch to a little over an inch and a quarter in size. So all I did a paper with the ruler, but you could also just cut some strips, kind of just eyeballing it. That's what Mr. Rodney likes to do. I like to draw it all out, but no, he likes to just go zip, zip, zip. So here are some strips. So you guys will do that along with me. You're just going to cut them. I'm not measuring these. You just want them to be about an inch and a quarter to an inch and a half. See these little, you can kind of see with my fingers. They're a little bigger than 2 adult fingers wide. Can you guys see those? Awesome. So that's the size that you need. You need 19 of these. So I know this will take you a few minutes. So cut your pieces of paper. I'll give you just a few minutes to do that. If you could let Seth should know by doing a thumbs up on the screen when we see a lot of friends getting done, I'll go on to the next step. I don't want to rush us too much. So we'll keep an eye out for you guys. Is everybody hearing me
Wendy, you're still cutting in and out a lot. So I'm having a lot of people comment that they can't hear you and that it's real glitchy. So I don't know how to correct that.
Sasha, am I coming in okay?
Yeah, Rodney, you're coming in very clear.
Okay. Let Miss Wendy work on that for a few seconds on her end. She might need to get out and get back in or something with it. Or Wendy, move closer to the Wi-Fi wherever Uncle Dan's got his Wi-Fi in his house and see if you can't get a better signal. And we'll come back to that one in just a second. Hey, let's move forward with this next one. Okay, guys, like this is something we've never done before, and it's Zoom, you know? We've done plenty of Zoom meetings, but the idea that we're trying to do a camp from Zoom, it's difficult, you know? It's not as easy as it looks. You think that, you know, we plugged into Zoom last week or earlier this week and everything was going great. And then we come to today and you can't get me online. So that's just kind of how technology works. It works great and it's a beautiful thing. If not, then it becomes a little bit more difficult to do. But I want to show you this next one. And some of you guys might have already used this one or have even experimented with this one. And it comes from some very simple things, right? Cornstarch, you know, you can simply pick that up at the grocery store. I bet if you ask your mom or dad, probably ask your mom, because if it's anything like my household, dad does not know where it's at. So ask mom if she's got some cornstarch. If she does, then it's this simple. You take roughly 1 cup of cornstarch for 1/2, like a half, right? Half, 0.50 of water, and you put it into a bowl. Now, I did it a little bit bigger because, well, if you don't know me, I like to do big and bigger, better, and badder, right? It's like more fun. So I actually did 3 cups of cornstarch to 1.5 cups of water. And when you first mix it into a bowl like this, you know, it's kind of liquidy. You can see it's kind of liquidy moving around. And they call this like a oolak or something like that. I don't know, but it's this really cool science thing that works out like this. It's called suspension. And what happens is that the molecules are kind of what they call in the suspended state, where when it's first put together, it's just kind of a liquidy kind of move, you know, it just kind of there, you know, it doesn't really do a whole super lot. But once you start mixing it, when you start putting the cornstarch in, you put your hands into it and you start going, and it's kind of hard to start getting it mixed together. You just have to move real slow and to get it. And when it starts to get to this mixed way of doing things, I like to call it like a pancake consistency type look. It really cool thing starts to happen. And I'm trying to get it out here and get it going. And once I get it going, you can take this liquid and start really rubbing it together and doing things, and it starts to stay as a solid. But as soon as I stop, it starts to run back out as a liquid. So as fast and as long as I'm moving it really fast in my hands, I'm trying to get another one going for you so you can kind of see what's happening with it. It becomes unsuspend, right? It doesn't stay in its liquid form. It gets away from its liquid form. It goes into a solid state. You can get it into a ball. You can kind of move it around. But as soon as I stop, then it goes back into a liquid. And so this really reminded me of some cool stories in the Bible and a really cool action, you know. You can play around with that a little bit at home. That's all it is water and cornstarch. And you can even add a little bit of food coloring in there if you want to wear some gloves and be fun with it. But the really cool part about how God works with this is a lot in our creation and who he is. See, God makes us all unique, and we all have different things about our lives that God creates us for and uses us for, right? Some of us have brown hair, some of us have blonde hair, some of us have red hair, some have blue eyes, brown eyes, green eyes, some have hazel eyes. I've even seen people that have 2 different color eyes, one in one eye and one in the other. It's like really cool. Where we would think that's odd, it's such a fascinating thing about God and how he puts us together. See, when we look at this cornstarch, if we put flour in place of the cornstarch, it doesn't get the same reaction. flour starts to get doughy, right? So it starts to make this dough, almost like bread and pasta type dough. But cornstarch makes this neat, unique thing called goulash that when you're able to do it and get it moving fast enough in your hands, you can make this ball. And as soon as you stop, then it becomes liquid again. And it also reminds me about this. It's this little thing that comes from James 2:20 through 25, where God talks about, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? But it's the first piece of that puzzle that we often miss. It's the I can do. See, when we believe in ourselves and we believe in God, then God can do all things. We can do all things through him because he works in us. It's the same with this. This looks like it would be something that's an impossible situation to say, hey, I'm going to take water and cornstarch. I'm going to put it together and I'm going to make this ball as I move my hands really fast. And then I'm going to slow down and let it kind of just ooze out. And it seems like, well, once it's a solid state, it should remain solid, right? If you're science, I love science. So once a solid state stays into a solid state, but it goes back to a liquid form. And that's what it is. But we have to believe. See, God says, if you believe in him, then he can do the impossible things through you. And so that's why it's such kind of a cool situation that breaks out when we start to use this cornstarch and water and this putting it together, that we see this amazing, amazing thing that God has done and can do in each and every one of our lives. It's a total amazing thing. You've got to try this cornstarch thing out. It is fun to get your hands in there and a little sticky and a little dirty and come in and have some fun with it. So let's check and see if we got Miss Wendy back and see if we've got a better connection with her where she can fill you in on what it is to have the power of God inside of your life. Miss Wendy, you back?
I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Can hear you a little. Yeah, I can hear you a little bit better. Go ahead.
Am I glitching?
No, it's just you have a muffled sound. You should have taken the mic with you down there.
That's all right. So
And it would have picked up better.
So we're jumping back to the battery. So what you should have had done was cut your squares, 19 of them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a tower. So you're going to do a pattern. Our pattern's going to start with the penny. So if you have your supplies, get your penny and put it on the table. And then you're going to dip your paper into the vinegar water. We're making vinegar paper. So you're going to dip your paper in, and then you're going to stack the penny, then the paper, then you're going to put in your nickel or dime, then another piece of paper. So if you've been in first and second grade, you should know how to do patterns. I'm a school teacher. So penny, paper, nickel, paper, penny. What comes next? Paper, nickel, paper. I'm gonna dip my paper. Penny, paper. Hope you guys are doing fun. I know the kids in Oklahoma at their church were going to do this with me today. I talked to Miss Marcy and she was getting your stuff already. Shout out to Oklahoma. So I'm now on my penny and I'm doing my next paper. And my nickel. If you have a dime, that'll work too. Remember, we're looking for the zinc metals, what we need. And then I got my penny. I got my little stack going here. But it's like a coin sandwich. So I got my penny. I've got my nickel. What do I need? I need my paper. Get that paper wet. And I have been practicing this a lot at home, and I actually did smaller squares, and it doesn't work. You really need to do the large 1 to 1.5 inch size square paper. So now I'm on my next paper. I'm almost done. And then my penny. You guys can see a little bit in my hand there. And then my paper. It's gonna zap me. And my nickel. And then my penny. Go in here. I'm down to my last 5 coins. All right, so there's the paper, my nickel, my paper, my penny, my paper, my nickel. Now we started with the penny, so we're gonna end with your nickel or your dime. There's my paper, my penny, my last paper. And I'm gonna hold it up for you guys to see, and there's my nickel. So I've made this giant tower, of my penny, nickel, and my papers alternating the pattern. And then the next thing I have to do is I have to take my fingers, you want your thumb and your pointer finger, and you're gonna dip them in your vinegar. So dip them in there, get them really wet. This is the buzzy part. You ready to get buzzed? Here we go. My fingers are nice and vinegary, and I'm gonna put it on there, and you should feel a buzz. Do you feel it? It's like your fingers are going to sleep. It's that kind of buzzy feeling when your foot falls asleep or your hand falls asleep. That's the kind of buzz that you're getting from this wet battery. So we just made an electrical current that went through my tower of coins. Good job, everybody. If it didn't work for you this time, I'll let you know. That's what happens with science. You keep trying and perfecting it. That's what scientists do. They evaluate the situation and make adjustments. So if it didn't work for you, then what you need to do is maybe make your paper a little bit bigger. Make sure your papers get really saturated with the vinegar. Just make some adjustments. So it took Miss Wendy, I've been working on this for weeks. It took me probably about 9 times until I could get it right. So no worries if it didn't work for you today. It will work. It worked for me. I got it again. So it does work. And the reason why I thought it'd be fun to do an electrical activity with you guys today is because we have power just like electricity with God. And so with God, He's our power source. You have a lamp at home on your nightstand or in your living room. If you don't plug that lamp into the electrical socket, it's just a pretty decoration. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do what it was created to do. It's not living its purpose. So God created us to be a light to the world. We have a purpose to share His love with others, to be kind, to be helpful, to spread the good news about Jesus to everyone. And so we have that power through the Holy Spirit. And so this is just a way to remind us that God is our power source. And we have to be plugged in every day to God. How do you get plugged into God? You read your Bible, you praise and worship, you pray alone or with your family, and you get involved with your local church, just like you guys are doing. Not only are you with your local church, you're with all the Foursquare churches around the world right now on this call. How cool is that? So you're plugged in. And so whenever you see electricity or you look at a lamp or you see a battery, I want you to remember this day and say, hey, I need to be plugged into my Heavenly Father. And with the Holy Spirit as my power, I can do anything. All right, Miss Freddie, you ready for number 3?
Okay, well, let's jump and let Miss Wendy have like 2 or 3 seconds here to kind of get it out, because we got out of order a little bit. And so let's give Miss Wendy just a moment here as she gets going. Look, just like Miss Wendy said, you know, our faith a lot of times, we have to keep working at it, and we have to keep trying, and we have to do things to perfect our faith, right? That God works through us and does things for us. So don't get discouraged if one of these science lessons or one of these little experiments don't work quite right like they should the first time. You got to go back and you got to keep trying, and you got to keep doing it, and you got to keep tweaking it a little bit just to get it right so that it'll work perfectly. That's how God works in our lives. He keeps taking little things in our lives and tweaking them a little bit so we get closer and closer to him. Now, this next experiment is one of my favorite ones. I've been doing this experiment, I'm telling you, since 6:30 this morning. I took some videos and I shot them off to Miss Wendy really early this morning. I even hurt myself a little bit this morning. So it's how far out there I go. So watch this experiment from Miss Wendy, all about propulsion.
Okay, friends, can you still hear me okay? All right, awesome. So for this activity, this is like the coolest ever. You guys are gonna make bottle rockets. So these are the materials that you're going to need for this experiment. You're going to need a plastic bottle. I have a water bottle here. So there's a plastic bottle. You're gonna need 3 pencils. Three pencils, 1, 2, 3. You're going to need duct tape, but I know somebody asked earlier, you can use painter's tape. I actually used painter's tape the other day, and you could use scotch tape too. It might not hold up as long, but at least it would let you shoot the rocket one time, and then you could put more tape on it. This is an activity you can do over and over and over again, just like Mr. Rodney said. He was doing it all morning at my house. And so you're going to need duct tape. You're going to need a cork that comes out of a bottle. Or I didn't have any cork, but I had a pool noodle from the swimming pool. And you can use this as a piece of pool noodle, and you can see I cut it in half there. And so it's about 3 inches long. So about 2 to 3 inches of pool noodle is what you're going to need. This is going to need the baking soda. And then you're going to need our good old science friend vinegar. He's in so many science experiments, so you're going to need your vinegar too. So let's get started with the steps. So the first thing that we're going to do is you're going to need 3 small pieces of duct tape. I'll give you guys time to work along. I know a lot of you are doing this with me, so I'll give you a little bit of time. So 3 pieces of duct tape. This is what we're trying to make right here. You can see this is the bottle. So, all right. So what I'm going to do, I got my 3 pieces of duct tape, and I'm going to hold my pencil next to the bottle, and I'm going to just put the tape on the bottle to hold it in place. The reason why you want to do small pieces is because you're going to need to adjust it. Because what you're trying to make is a tripod. So there's my second pencil. And then my third pencil's going on with my duct tape. There we go. So once you have that on, you need to do a test run. Remember, we're scientists, so we're always observing and checking things out. So you're going to flip it over and put it on your table, and you're going to want to see if it's level. Now mine's standing up level like that. Mine are standing up with the 3 pencils as they just fell down. So you're going to make sure that it stands up. Once you make sure that it stands up, you're going to take a big piece of duct tape and wrap it around the 3 pencils. Like I said, the 3 little pieces of tape just help you if you need to adjust things. And then you put the big one on. So everybody see my red duct tape there? And my base for my rocket is set. So, and I can hold it up so you guys can see. There it is. So once you have the base done, the next thing that you're going to need to do, if you don't have a cork at your house, if you do this experiment later, Joann Fabrics, Hobby Lobby, Walmart's craft section all have corks. You can get corks there in the craft departments of many stores across the country. So if you don't have a pool noodle and you can't find a pool noodle anywhere, you can buy corks at a different time if you want to do this later on. So we're going to make a cork out of pool noodle. This Wendy has about 2.5-inch piece of pool noodle. You see the top there. And then I'm using duct tape because the pool noodle is a little porous and we don't want our chemical reaction to come out the bottom of our rocket. So I'm going to wrap this tight. I'm putting it, you can see how I'm putting it, and I'm just kind of wrapping it to make it look like a cylinder. Because pool noodles have an odd shape, but do you see how that kind of looks like a cylinder? And I tapered the bottom a little bit by just cutting off some of the sides at the bottom so it would fit in the bottle quickly. So I'm going to show you guys. So here's the top of my bottle, and I put the duct tape on it, and it fits right in. Everybody see that? It's in the side view, and we could actually, when we shoot this off, we'll push it in a little bit further. Another tip when you're doing this is take another little piece of duct tape, love duct tape, the scientist's best friend, and you're going to put it on the top and cover the top of it, and that will help seal it as well so nothing leaks out of your bottle rocket. So now you can see how Miss Wendy did that. I got it all like that. So that is a 2.5-inch piece of pool noodle that fits perfectly into the opening of my bottle. Ta-da! So now we got that. Now it's time for the craziness. So the way that rockets work, Mr. Roddy talked about propulsion. That's a super big science word. What propulsion is it's an actual scientific process. So a rocket is a vehicle that needs some type of fuel to propel it through the air to get into space. So what we're using for our fuel is we are using baking soda and vinegar. The chemical reaction is going to be created, which is making our fuel that turns it to gas, and the gas that's made from the chemical reaction is actually the propellant that flies it through the universe, flies it into space. So let's get ready to make our chemical reaction. So you're going to need some baking soda and a small piece of paper towel. Now this paper towel is about 7 inches by about 3.5 inches. You can make it smaller, but not much bigger than this. So what you're going to do is put that on the table, and then you're going to take a tablespoon of baking soda, and you're going to put it in there, and we're going to make a little pocket. We're just going to fold it over and make a pocket. So you can see how Miss Wendy's folding it over, and then I'm folding the other side over, and then I'm going to roll it, make it look, you know, pixie sticks, the candy pixie sticks with the stuff inside, kind of doing that. We're making a pouch for the baking soda. So my baking soda is wrapped up. It's not quite as long as my finger. And what we're going to do is, can't shoot this off in your church. I don't think your pastor would like me very much if we shot these bottle rockets off in your church, or I don't think your grandma or your mom would be too happy if we shot it out in the house. So I'm going to show you, I'm in the house, so I'm going to show you the steps. Don't do this right now. I'm just going to show you. And then you can see Mr. Rodney's got his goggles on at my house in Ohio. I'm going to shoot one off in our backyard. So what you're going to do is you got your rocket starting yet. So I've got my vinegar, and you can practice with the amount. I always start with a half. It depends on your bottle and the weight of your bottle, but I've got about a half a cup of vinegar in a measuring cup. So it's going to pour my vinegar. There it goes. And when you're outside and you're shooting this off, you're going to see that Mr. Rodney's using our picnic table as the launch pad. It's really important to have a flat surface for your launch pad. So you can use a garden paving stone, a brick. You could use I used here in Florida, I used my aunt and uncle's trash can lid and put that on the grass, and that gave me a level surface. You need a level surface for this. So once you get outside, remember, we're outside, we're pretending. So you're going to turn your bottle sideways, and then you're going to take your packet of baking soda, and you're going to gently put it in the top. And then once you've got that in, now this is when you have to be quick. You're going to finish it off by pushing your cork in. And you can see that it's not touching the vinegar on the inside yet. My vinegar is still, I've got it tilted in a way that it's not making the reaction yet. That's super important. It's going to buy you some time to run. So you're going to take your pack, and then you're going to push your cork in. And then once your cork is pushed in, you're going to flip it upside down, and it's going to make the chemical reaction, and it's going to shoot it into the air. So I'm going to flip mine over. I actually tricked you guys and used water for mine so it wouldn't blow up in the house. But you're going to flip it over, put it on your thing. It's going to make the reaction with the vinegar and then shoot in the air. So let's flip over to Mr. Rodney in Ohio, and he is going to shoot a bottle rocket off in our backyard.
All right, guys. Well, this is my most exciting one, right? You got to do whatever you got to do. And there's one thing that is great about Miss Wendy being in Florida and me being in Ohio is that she's 1,000 miles away from me, and she can't tell me not to do something because it's too big, right? So I thought, wow, she's using like a regular soda pop bottle, you know, but then I went and I was like, well, maybe I'll go a little bigger. You know, this is like 1 liter. So this is a couple of them, but I'm like, hey, if Mr. Rodney's going to do it, he's going to do it big and bad, right? So we are going to go 2-liter style, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like, I think it's like 3 cups of vinegar in there and like 3 tablespoons of baking soda and a cork. And you can actually see that I had to put 4 pencils on there. The last time I did this, it actually landed on the roof, and I had to go on the roof to get it off. So if it lands on your roof, talk to your parents, let your dad go get it off there. But it was really cool to do. So I'm going to shoot this thing off. We're going to hope it works. Once I get it upside down, there was probably anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds that it sat there while it built up enough pressure in the container to blow the cork and actually shoot itself up into the air. So I got my safety goggles. You know, when you're at home, you got to do whatever you got to do to have safety. I cannot go to the store and get safety goggles right now. So I got my pool swimming stuff and I got my shield. So you know what I'm saying? Like you got to do whatever you got to do. So hang in there for just a second. Watch me as I run down to put this thing together.
All right, here we go, friends.
Ooh!
That was like awesome. Like, do you know what just happened? I'm going to have to go apologize to my neighbors because it just landed on their roof of their house and rolled down in their backyard. So it's just like super cool. like thing to do with a bottle of baking soda and vinegar. It is like totally amazing, but just don't land on your friends, neighbors' stuff. But it is cool to do. Guys, look, this is such a great experiment. It's so fun to do. And the things we have to remember and think about is that this propulsion, right? This is like when we accept Jesus into our lives for the first time. It's this new thing that we get excited that we're called by Christ, by Jesus, to go share the good news. It's something that we cannot keep or contain in ourselves. You know, if you think about it, it's like getting if you're a boy, it's like getting that new video game for your house, you know, that you're playing on your Xbox or your PlayStation 4 or maybe your Switch, you know. You want to run and go tell your friends. If you're like my little girl, my daughter, Megan, she's 14. When she gets new clothes, she comes into the house, running in the house. She wants to share what she just got. Well, it's the same thing. See, this propulsion that Jesus puts inside of us is what moves our Christian walks forward. It what calls us to go share Jesus with our friends and other people in our lives. It's the very same thing that God calls us to do. He says, look, go tell the world, right? Go make disciples. Go tell your friends and your neighbors and your people in school and around you all the good news of Jesus Christ, the gospel, the first 4 books of the Bible. Share it with them. You're not supposed to keep it into your own heart. You're not supposed to keep it for yourself. It's to be shared with other people. Go share the good news of Jesus and everything he's done in your life. I think we are down to like 10 minutes. We have one last experiment that Miss Wendy is going to do kind of really quickly and move on. And then we're going to close up in prayer and we will end our session for today. But man, I am so excited to be with you. So let's jump back to Miss Wendy. She should be ready to go. This last one about faith.
Mr. Rodney, while I do this, can you get another bottle? Some of them missed it because of the way that they're viewing on Zoom, so they missed it. Can you in any way get another one? I'm sure you'll be happy to do that.
I'm happy to do it, but I got to go to the neighbor's house. I'll use my smaller one. If you can do it really quick, go with your lesson, and then I'll set another one up.
Awesome. Thanks for being a good sport. Thank you. All right.
If I get to blow things up, I'm a good sport.
Yeah, I know you like to blow things up, honey. I know. So while Mr. Rodney goes and makes another bottle rocket for you guys who weren't able to see it, he's going to do that for you. We're so happy to do that. We just want to share science and Jesus with you. So he's going to take care of that. Our last experiment is the easiest one. We saved it for last because we weren't sure how we would be doing on time, and it was a simple one to explain for you guys to do at home. So for this experiment, we're going to be talking about polymers. Now, we live near Akron, Ohio, and it's the polymer capital of the United States. Our University of Akron has a whole polymer science division, and polymers are plastics and rubbers. So we are going to be talking about plastic bags and how they're a polymer. And then I'm going to tie it into our spiritual life. So I know that you guys pack your lunch probably for school or on picnics or use plastic bags. I have a Ziploc quart-size bag. You can use a gallon-size bag. You can use a sandwich bag. You can even use the snack-size bag. So it doesn't matter. So if you have a Ziploc bag, some water, I have some water here, and some sharpened pencils, and you can see my pencils. I sharpened them all nice and sharp there. You can do it with one pencil, but when you try this at home, you can do this outside. You can do it in the bathtub. You could do it in the shower, practice, stand in the shower, or even in the driveway with your baby on. But you will get wet, okay? At the end, you don't have to get wet, but you guys are kids and we're children's pastors, so we like to get wet and messy. So you're going to take your bag, and like I said, plastic bags are a polymer. Polymers are used in packaging materials. They're very popular because they're super lightweight. But the thing about polymers is all about the molecules in the polymers. How many of you heard about molecules at school? So the molecules in polymers are what are so cool. You can't see them, but it's the coolest thing about them. Just like the coolest thing about us is Jesus, and people can't see him, but he's the coolest thing, right? So you got your polymer bag. And so polymers are kind of like a plate of spaghetti noodles. So picture a plate of spaghetti noodles. Have you ever had spaghetti and meatballs? If you put your fork into the spaghetti, they kind of separate a little bit, but then they move back around your fork. So think about it, a bowl of wet noodles. You're going to put your fork into it. They separate a little, let your fork come in, but then they go back towards your fork. That's the same thing as a polymer. The molecules allow things to happen, but then they seal it back up. That's the cool thing about how these polymers work. Isn't science so fun? They're super flexible and they're water. So you got your bag. And what you're going to do is you are going to pour your water and fill up your bag. I didn't want to do this online because I was afraid I'd make a big mess by the computer. So you're going to pour your water in your bag. And when you're done, you can see my bag right here. Turn it this way. So got my bag. And it's full of water. I filled it as close as I could to the top. You can stop about 2/3 of the way or 3/4 of the way up. That's fine too. And then what you're going to do now, at your house, you can do this. I'm not going to do it here because I'm online with you and there's nobody here to help me. But you can practice this over your friend's head. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our sharp pencil and we're going to pierce the polymer bag and take it all the way through and no water falls out. The cool thing is Miss Wendy's done this with 30 pencils in a bag before and no water fell out. Let's grab in the next one. What that polymer is doing, the bag is actually making room for the pencil and then it's sealing the bag back off. It is creating a seal there so that it doesn't explode everywhere. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to put this one in. Got another one here. We'll go this way. Go through. Like I said, I've done this with 30 pencils in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag over somebody's head before, and not one has come out. This is such a fun thing to do, especially in the summer. Go on your patio and do this with your family. Hold it over your dad's head. See how many pencils you can stick in there. But do you see how my polymer is creating the seal around the pencils and nothing is coming out? So that's our last experiment. And the cool thing about this is it reminds us of our faith in God. We can't see God. Just like I can see you guys through this bag, right through to my computer screen, it's see-through. We can't see God, but we have faith that we know he's here. And the pencils represent challenges in our life. Maybe a friend bullied you at school and it comes at you, but God's got you. Our faith in God has us protected. We know who we are in Christ. People can bully us and say nothing, but we know that we are children of the Most High King, and he loves us. And so they might try to throw darts at us like these pencils, but they're not going to impact us because we know who we are in Christ. And so our faith in him gives us protection. Just like this bag is protecting me because of the awesome molecules in this bag. So that's my lesson on faith and molecules. And I hope you guys had fun. This would be a great one to do outside. I have done it in Sunday school classes before. Don't tell anybody. It is a really fun thing to do in children's ministry. So give that one a try. And I think Mr. Ronnie's ready with our rocket ship.
Okay, well, I'm ready if you're ready, if I'm there. So I am back. I moved my rocket ship a little bit closer to my house. So Miss Wendy, when you get home, you can go tell the neighbors that you left me by myself. And this is what happens when you leave me at home by myself for 10 days, right? I get to go crazy and just do some crazy fun blowing up experiments because they definitely came outside. So I'm gonna have to get my bottle back from them and let them know. So yeah, I'm probably in trouble right now, but hey, we're gonna go for round 2. I moved it up on my deck, and so I'm gonna get my safety goggles going again. Okay, and this is all for Miss Wendy. She told me to do it, so if it goes wrong and you miss something, well, it's all Miss Wendy's fault. That's just remember that she said I could do it. So no matter how this works out, it's Miss Wendy's fault. Here we go.
I'm so excited. Ooh!
Okay, that one is back on my roof. So that one actually went straight up and down. It was really cool to see. I wish I could show you guys exactly how high that goes. We're probably getting 30 to 40 feet in the air on that thing. It is such a cool experiment just to see and have fun with. It's something so simple and so easy to do. Just don't point it at anybody. If you're a brother, you don't point it at your little sister, okay? Because I know, guys, that's what you want to do. Or if you're just like 2 teenagers, you know, and you're kind of watching this, then I know my older boys would be like, dude, let's see if this hurts. And so don't point it at your little brother or your older brother to see if this thing hurts, because they hurt. I got hit already once today. So, hey, so Dick, this is a time for us just to come to an end over this hour.
Ronnie, they missed it again.
Well, do they want me to send them the video?
We'll send a video. We'll get a video.
It goes so super fast. Like, it's quick.
Yeah.
So if I have it recorded, so we can always shoot a recording of video over there. But it's such a cool thing to do. It did go off. It did blast out. But hey, look, guys, this is such an ending time for us right here. We're coming down to the last few moments of our time together. I have been so excited. Miss Wendy has been so excited this week as we have prepared to just be with you guys. And I want you to know that our faith is something that's always growing. It's always moving. It's always a new adventure for us, right? I love the way that Hebrew 11's teaches us. You know, sometimes our versions, they say, you know, it's the faith in the things that we cannot see. But I absolutely love a version that is a little bit different than that. And I hold on to it in my heart, because it's this thing that we can't see. It's this trust in God that makes life worth living, man. That is what having faith in God, when we can't see him, but we trust him, that we have this extraordinary faith in him that makes our life worth living, that everything God is doing in our lives. And so as we looked back and we saw all of these things happen today, you know, we did the guglak, the cornstarch, you know, we see how we're made uniquely, you know, and we went back and we got back with Miss Wendy and we saw that the power of God works in us and through us through a wet battery, you know, and then we got to the bottle rocket, and it's something that we're not supposed to contain. Like the rocket can't contain itself with the fuel. It has to go. And it's like our faith, that we can't contain Jesus and we can't hold them all to ourselves. And then we got to the end one, right? We got to the last one with the faith, and having faith and knowing. That's the one that is the best one ever, because we just have to have faith in him and know that he is real and that he's there and that everything he is doing has a purpose and a reason. So let me pray with you guys before we close up and finish. If you could just do this for me, okay? I can't see you, but this is what I want you to do. I want you to just take one hand and cover your heart like this. And I want you to take the other hand, and I just want you to touch your ear like this. And as I pray for you, just listen to the prayer for a few moments. You know, dear Jesus, just thank you for this time and this opportunity that we were able to connect together, Lord, from a distance, you know, from all over the country, Lord. Lord, we are praying today that each child, Lord, that they have their hearts open to you, Lord, open to a new relationship with you, open to the new things that you want to do through them in their communities, in their areas, in their families, and where their schools are. Lord, we pray that each one of them will hear you. Our ears will be open to hear what you have for us, Lord, through all of these times together, through this digital experience with Christ, or a camp. And Lord, that you will just touch their ears and their hearts, Lord, soften them. And Lord, I want to open up the door. Look, guys, If you've never accepted Jesus into your life, if you've wondered what your walk was and where it was going, I say there's never a better time than the present. There's never a better time to accept Jesus than camp time of the year. And it's a very simple prayer. It's this right here. Just pray it with me and just say, "Dear Jesus, I know I'm a sinner. I know that I'm not perfect, but I know that you love me. Lord, I believe in you. I confess my sins. And Lord, I want to be a follower of you." See, it's that simple. Look, if you've said that simple little prayer today, when you go back with your leaders or your parents or your churches, wherever you're at in this walk, wherever you're at in this country, tell your leaders, say, "Hey, on the digital experience, I accept Jesus into my life for the first time, or maybe the second time." I don't think there's ever too many times to go back and say, "Jesus, I accept you and forgive me of my sins." Love where you're at. Love your communities. Love your families. Be that propulsion for God, right? Go out and tell all your friends about him. And so just know that me and Miss Wendy, even though we've never met face to face, we absolutely love you guys. And we pray for you every day. And we pray that this is a great summer for you. And we pray that you all stay safe. In Jesus' name. And we all can say, amen. We love you guys. And we will maybe one day see everybody at a real camp over the summer.
Amen. Thank you. I just want to thank Rodney and Wendy for helping us to experiment with science today and making science practical, but also sharing the Word of God with us today. I want to thank Yvette for translating for us today for those that don't speak the English language. Wendy, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, I wanted to let everybody know that on the Foursquare Next Gen page, I'm going to actually post the materials and the directions. So I will have that for you after the session. We didn't want to do it before we did the materials, but I didn't do the steps because I didn't want you guys to try them without us. So I will get that up in the next 30 minutes or so. So check out Foursquare Next Gen and look for the science breakout activities so that everybody can try. So we love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we'll have Rodney post that video too, so everybody can see that launch because it was pretty cool. All right. We want to thank everybody for joining us today for experimenting with science. Pray you all are blessed and we love you guys. God bless.